Hi guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel Reiki Zen, and welcome to another coffee chat. The last one I did was with the lovely Claire Thackeray, and this one today is with the lovely Genevieve Garcia in Canada. So say hello.
Hello.
The camera moves back and forth, so you need to speak. Don't just wait.
Okay, good to know. Okay. I'll do a thumbs up then.
So welcome to this Zoom chat today. Thank you very much for taking the time to have a little bit of a natter and answer some questions, and any questions you might have for me as well. Yeah, so tell us about yourself, Genevieve. Where you're based in Canada, and tell us about your therapies, your business, what you do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, Ian. I know we've known each other for quite some time now, so it's quite amazing to see how we've evolved, right? From the moments that we met until now, it's quite a different story, actually. But yeah, so I'm out of Welland, Ontario. I do service most of the Niagara region. I have little spa spots around the area that I can jump into if needed. I offer Reiki, foot reflexology, crystal healing. I also offer an aromatherapy, foot chakra balancing, and chakra balancing. I do distance treatments as well. And of course, the animals. We do Reiki with animals by distance and in person as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about where I am and what I offer while I'm here. Oh, and I make jewelry. Oh my goodness, how could I forget?
Jewelry, yeah, as you can see behind you. Just
yes.
there, you got a little display going, which is a great shot. So how would people find you if they want to get in touch with any of the services that you offer? Where would they find?
Well, the most direct way would probably be my website. So it's genevievestherapies.ca. You can go on the website, you can book appointments, you can read about the different services. I do offer like combination services, and they're listed there as well, where you can blend in Reiki with reflexology, or crystal healing with reflexology or Reiki. So that's all listed in there as well. It also has a little blurb about myself, and then my schedule.
And you obviously have social media platforms as well. Obviously you've got Instagram, Genevieve.therapies. You've got a Facebook page as well, I do believe. Is that the same name?
I do, yes. Yeah. Yes, it's under the same name. So on Instagram, I do have two profiles because I got into some hot water apparently a little while back with Instagram. Oh. So I do have two different profiles. One is Genevieve's.therapies and the other one is Genevieve's Therapies. But my Facebook is Genevieve's Therapies. It's all one word.
Yeah.
I don't do too much on Facebook, but you can catch me.
Yeah. Right, that's fine. I just thought we'd do that a little bit just so people can, if they want to get in touch, find you, if they want to come to you, if they're in your vicinity or want to have Reiki distantly or any other treatments, then obviously then they can do that, and then we can get further on into the nitty-gritty of the coffee chat, even though I'm drinking water today. So tell us a little bit about your spiritual awakening journey, and what have you been through, what you've experienced. Have you had any strange things that have happened, things that people might maybe things people have been through themselves and don't really know what's happening? I know a lot of people that have been through different levels of awakenings, and some have been quite frightening and torturous, and some have been very, very gentle. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know a little bit about yours, about what you went through and what you've experienced.
Well, it's kind of, for me, it's been more of like a lifelong journey of awakening. There was a few moments where I knew that it was happening and what I was going through was a part of the awakening process, but I didn't have a one moment where everything kind of unraveled and unleashed in that time, which I've heard a few people have said that they had basically like a Kundalini uprising, where they basically, all the energy just kind of exploded and it was a huge shift in them. And I would say probably I've always been an empath. So it's been an interesting, like growing up was interesting. I saw spirit when I was younger, and throughout most of my life, but it was kind of suppressed.
Mm.
My family didn't really, I don't want to say they didn't believe me, but I think they were just too scared to acknowledge what was happening. So it's kind of like brushed under the rug. And then, but I've always been like, I was that kid who would go to the science fair and I would buy all like the gemstones and stuff. Like, not the kid that would buy like the candy and whatever because they got money. No, I was all into the gemstones. So, and the one that would walk on the beach for hours and come home with buckets of rocks. So that's always been something that I've been drawn to. And I've kind of like dibbled and dabbled in different things while I was growing up, trying to figure out, what was my thing and where I fit in. And a lot of kids that age didn't like, I was an only child too, so I was used to being by myself. But yeah, I just kind of kept like that kind of stuff to myself. Yeah, so then anyways, I was growing on with my life, and I happened to have a chat with my uncle one day, my great uncle actually one day, and he was talking about foot reflexology. So I would think I was about maybe 20 at this time. And he had mentioned that he had an amazing teacher, and it helped his wife, who was suffering from cancer, to kind of get through some of the pain and help her cope and whatnot. So like a week later, I found that they were offering the course, and I signed up and I went. So that was kind of like the start of it.
Right.
And then, fast forward like 15 years, 14, 15 years, and I ended up finding Reiki. And Reiki, I would say, is really when it started to kick up a notch. So the attunements that I went through opened me back up to seeing spirit and hearing spirit. And it was quite frightening because when you become like a beacon in the spirit world and you have friends and loved ones that have passed on and they realize that you're open, they really want to communicate with you. And it's beautiful, but not if you don't know what it is, because it seems scary, right? Yeah. So
did you feel like that 5-year-old girl again? Is that how you felt? You felt like a child again?
100%. Yeah. I was scared. I really was. And it took a lot of persistence, patience, and connecting with others who I knew had expanded on their gifts quite a bit to kind of help me figure out what exactly was going on. Yeah. With my attunements, I would say, honestly, that was probably when everything was kicked up a huge notch. I would be crying all day long. I had no reason why. I was crying over things that happened like years and years and years ago. And my family is like, it was so long ago, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. But it was more like, how could I be treated that way? How could I let someone put me through that? It wasn't about the person. It was about how I didn't understand it like back then, what was happening, right? Yeah. It's almost like hitting a different level of understanding people when you go through your spiritual awakening.
Yeah, it kind of, I know when you do become attuned to Reiki, it unravels everything. And a lot of people can go through quite traumatic experiences, or they can have, a lot of symptoms like colds and flus, which is obviously the body's way of releasing toxins and things like that. But obviously going through these processes of where people do tend to hold on to trapped emotions, and they're totally unaware of it until they go to see a healer, or they get attuned to Reiki, or anything of that sort of holistic nature that deals with the root cause of a problem, and it sort of exposes it and brings it to the surface. And then when you're going through it 15, 20 years later, like you were, and you're kind of like thinking, well, am I going crazy? What's happened? Should I have done this? Should I have not done this? Why am I saying this? What does that mean? And then it kind of like adds a whole new dimension onto your awakening process, because you're coming to a new level of understanding. Whereas before it was kind of like, oh, well, I'm kind of like quite happy in my little 3D world. And then all of a sudden, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And you're on this kind of healing journey. And as you're going through it, things unravel and become it sort of, it all gets aired and it gets let out, and a lot of people do go through that and don't really know how to deal with it, you know. So it, and I do feel as well, and this is something that I mentioned in the chat with Claire in the last video, that when you go through these spiritual awakening processes, you tend to lose a lot of people that used to be around you quite often, or maybe you were the center of attention or whatever. And then you start to attract people that you need in your life at that time. So people of a maybe a healing nature or of a higher vibration will be drawn towards you, and they'll be there for a reason to help. So it's really good that you have those people around you to help with that, because if you didn't, what would you have done? You know, it would be really difficult to comprehend, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. You described it completely. That's exactly how it went. And you're right. I did lose some people, and I gained amazing people. It seems kind of funny. A lot of them are online, to be honest.
Yeah.
The people that supported me the most, they were the ones that were online, and it helped so much, because like I literally thought I was going crazy. Like, why should I be caring about, you know, whatever it was that happened so long ago, and the circumstances around it. And it was quite a shift. And I did get sick. I did go through that, and my Reiki master warned me of all these things, but I was like, you know, because I was still in that, right? Like, okay, whatever. What's not gonna happen? Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
About 2 days into my 21-day healing, like self-healing cleanse. Yeah, that's when it started.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah.
So how do you see spirit then? How do you connect with them? Are you clairvoyant? Do you clairaudient? Is it just a feeling, a sensing?
It's kind of a couple of things. So I can see them, but like just shadows and whatnot. I feel them when they come in. I can feel them in my face. That's how I know that they've come into the room, or that they want to connect and communicate. It's like, I can't even explain it. So I guess like I can hear them, but not in the sense that you would hear them. I hear them in my mind.
Yeah.
Not so much like,
so it's
like I don't hear them speak as if they're like right here. I can hear them like they're speaking with my voice in my head.
So I think that's classed as subjective clairaudience. So that's when you hear it within your head, and if it's objective, it's where it comes from another location in the room around you. But yeah, I mean, that's something about clairaudience, which is something that I'm constantly working on myself. But it does happen. It happens when it needs to. Then all of a sudden there'll be that thing there, voice there, and you're like, what was all that about? Yeah. And then you're just like, oh, okay, right, that's what that is. And so it's quite interesting that. And so do you see the shadows when you see spirit and you see the shadows? Do you see them with the physical eye, or do you see them in the mind's eye?
Depends on the circumstances. So I would have to say both in that case. For example, if I'm doing a Reiki session with somebody and I have the sense that somebody's come in, then I'll open the space for them, providing that my angels and guides are allowing them to come in. They have to be, I say a little prayer at the beginning that if anyone wants to come in, that they're welcome to, but they have to be coming with a reason. Or else you just get bombarded, right? So I make sure that my guides and my angels kind of vet them at the door, so to speak, before they can come in. So I know when I get that feeling that they're in. And sometimes I'll see them come in and start working on my client. And typically, like, I'll back off and allow them their space, but it's more of a light more than anything. But if they're coming in with a message specifically for them and not for the healing, I'll see them in my mind. So it just, every situation is different, right? And I'm just trying to discern what is mine and what is my client's and what is spirit, right? So because you can pick up on some of the emotions that your client's dealing with as well, right? So it's a lot of discerning, and it takes a lot of practice. But I've had so many different experiences. And it's just
sorry, how did you start with that? How did you build up that sort of level of discernment, and is it like an intuitive process, or is it something that you've developed over time?
So I would say that it's intuitive and it was developed over time, to be honest. It's both. When I first started with Reiki, second level, actually, my Reiki master had said something to me along the lines of, any of the messages you receive are not yours. Don't hold on to them. They're given to you for a reason. You need to share them. So I just started telling anyone who came in, if I had a message, or quite often I'll get like an affirmation that'll just come through my mind, and I'll tell them. There's never been a time that I've shared something that it hasn't been what they needed to hear.
Yeah.
So it was letting go of the control, right? Don't control what they're trying to say. Don't try to finish the sentence. Don't hold it to yourself. It's something that you need to share because it's not your message. It's not for you. It's for them in that time. Right. Yeah. Unless I'm meditating specifically for myself to gain messages and insight for myself, then I know it's for me. But other than that, it's for everybody else.
Yeah. Wow. That's really good information. I mean, even just like, that's why I think these Zoom chats are really, really good. Because it not only gives obviously people like myself and yourself insight into how other people work, but it also gives that insight to other people that may be on this sort of path and they're not quite sure how to discern this information or these messages or whatever may be coming through. I mean, personally speaking, usually if I know spirits in the room with myself, and if there's a message, then it's usually like what you say, it's like a clairaudient thing. But a lot of the time as well, it's funny how you say you feel them in the face. Is it like a tingling feeling?
It's almost like it goes like numb, I guess you could say.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah, I guess like a tingling. It gets really hot, and it's always on this side. I know as soon as they come in, it starts in my ear and it comes right down my jaw. It's almost like they want me to speak for them. That's kind of how I gauge it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That it's not okay. This is not for you, and then it'll come through. But yeah, I guess it's like a numb. It's not a painful thing. It's like, it always makes me smile because I'm like, oh, I know you're there. Okay, what do you got for me? But I do want to add, right? I do want to add though, for the first time, only like a month ago, it was my first Reiki session at this space, and I was actually touched. I've never been touched before.
Right.
It was spirit came up behind me and basically put their hand and like their forearm on my arm. It was almost like it wasn't, I didn't feel scared or anything. It scared me, like it shocked me more than anything, but I felt comforted. I felt like
it's like a caring, guiding touch, isn't it?
Right. And the fact that there was a doctor that lived in this house,
yeah,
I have a feeling him,
right,
who is coming over to just be like, oh, okay, now I know what you do. Thank you for being here. Like, I didn't feel scared. I don't feel like there's tons. I can't even tell you how many spirits are in this house. There's a ley line that runs right out front of my door. In the space. So it's like, it's a high traffic spirit area. Yeah. So I don't even know. I don't know how many are here, but I don't feel like I'm not supposed to be here. I never feel awkward or scared when I'm here by myself. I talk to them all the time.
That's good. That's good. That's really what people should do, because they're always there. And it's funny that you say that you get the feeling that it's a doctor, and I think that's kind of like what a lot of this work is. It's like it's this feeling that we get from deep within. And I think a lot of people, they might just knock it off or diss it and not really know what that means, and it's a bit wishy-washy, it's just a feeling, but feelings is this connection to this energy, and it's a very, very powerful thing. And especially if you're an empath, or if you're very sensitive to the energy, this feeling is everything that you go through. And you can feel emotions, you can feel pain, you can feel all these different sensations that spirit is trying to pass on for you to give to somebody else, or anything that may help with their healing journey as well. So that's really, really interesting, really good information. Gone a little bit off track with my with my questions that I got written down, but you know, that's another reason why this is really, really good, just to like kind of let it flow. And it's obviously the way that this conversation needs to go. So you talked about your attunements, and you said how Reiki kind of helped level you up and develop your I suppose spiritual awareness, your spiritual awakening. Is there any other tools that you use alongside yourself for your own self-healing and for this development process that you go through?
Was there anything else that I use alongside of it?
Any other tools, like obviously I know you use sage, but and you obviously you sell crystals, you use crystals as well?
Yeah, so I use a lot of crystals. It like I've said to you already, it depends. Every single session is different. So if someone comes in, I get the feeling that they need to have like rose quartz or something with them, or they have a lot of like a lot of attachments to things that they don't like, they're holding on to too much. Does that make sense? I know that I need to bring out a selenite wand. I use a pendulum in every session. I use it to measure energy. I don't trust the pendulum when it comes to me asking it questions like yes and no questions, because I don't know if it's my energy saying what I want it to say or if it's actually answering my question. So I use it just to measure energy. Typically in the chakra cones, I'll check the energy, see where it's all resonating. If the client has come in and specifically said that they want to work with crystals, then I'll bring up my crystals. Not in this space, but when I was at previous spaces, I would use a lot of incense. I do use essential oils here. I would use sage, Palo Santo, salt. What else do I use? I think that's about it, more or less. There's other things. I use my oracle cards as well. I consider them tools in the book. And then my own intuition. Yeah.
So do you use all them all them tools as well within your own self-healing practice as well?
Every day. Every single day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day I'm wearing a crystal of some sort. I have one on my ankle. I have one on my neck. I don't really wear rings and bracelets because I don't like to trap the energy or to manipulate the energy that comes out of my palms. So I don't wear a lot of that, but yeah, I wear my crystals every day. I burn incense every single day. I sage my room every morning when I get up. I open my windows and I sage up my room just because I've been having some weird dreams lately. And then yeah. So I just been like, okay, let's get all this out of here. And then after that, it's pretty much like whatever else I feel that is needed or then nothing. Sometimes my tool is nature, going outside for a walk.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea or a cold cup of water or a salt bath or something. Like it all just, it's a matter of learning what works for you and then kind of going with the flow of it. If you have to force it or you know, you forget about it, then obviously it's not the thing for you. Yeah. Right. But if it's natural for you to get up and like open your window, light your sage, you know, sage out your room, shake out your sheets, like put on your crystals, then those are the ones that obviously resonate better with you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I always talk about on this channel, and it's basically about daily maintenance, you know, and keeping that level of balance, because it can be exhausting. It can be quite tiring working in, especially when you're working in the realms of higher dimensional energies and you're working with Reiki and crystals, and a lot of crystals can be much higher and have higher intensity than other crystals, where they can be more calming and grounding. So it's this working with this energy, if you're doing it like every day, it can be quite quite tiring and overwhelming. Do you have a day job as well alongside your business?
Nope, this is my day job.
This is your day job. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a PSW as well. So Genevieve's therapies also includes my PSW work, which is a personal support working. But I've learned through my experience that working in homes, like long-term care, nursing homes, that kind of stuff, I can't do it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I've come to, like, I have so much respect and so much love for the people who can do it. It's just, it's way too overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
The amount of emotions that are going through that place, those places, and yeah, I can't do it. So I work one-on-one with one particular client. I take him out on really fun adventures. So that's what I've done with my PSW, and that's the other part of Genevieve's therapies.
Oh wow, that's really, really cool. So it's almost like, even though it's a therapy, you're also working in the 3D as well. You're not just working with obviously Reiki and crystals and all the other forms of healing as well. And I mean, reflexology is so powerful. I know there's so many people that do like just want to go for reflexology wherever they may want to go, because they know of the benefits of it. And obviously, if anyone isn't aware of reflexology, from my understanding, every part of the foot represents the body, and all these meridians and channels go to the feet. And I think it's a similar thing with the hands as well. I think the hands have a similar thing as well, where all these meridians come into the hands, and each part of the hands and the feet correspond to a part of the body, and that's how the healing takes place. And if no one's ever had a session of reflexology, I would highly recommend it. I mean, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 over the last few years, but they are so restorative and really relaxing. So definitely worth it. And if you're in Canada, then go and see Genevieve. So what's
Thanks for that question.
We've gone off the rails again. So I'm just going to try and come back onto the rails. So how has, I know we've talked about the spiritual side of things, but how do you feel Reiki, along with your other forms of healing and your spiritual tools and using them every day, how has that helped you since you discovered Reiki?
It's kept me grounded. It has kept me grounded. I found when I first discovered Reiki, I was very much out of my head. Like I was very much like flighty, I guess, because it's a lot to deal with, like going through all those emotions and whatnot. So I found keeping with my tools keeps me grounded. It keeps reminding me that, okay, yes, you do have a life in another dimension. Yes, you do have a calling that is of another dimension, but you physically live here. We need you to come back sometimes. So as much as I love to stay all up in my, up in my head, so to speak, or I say up in my head, up in the clouds, we'll say, not in my head, because I'm not here. I vacate. I find that those tools keep me grounded. With the incense, and it's all about being mindful with them too, right? The smell of it, the smoke, so seeing the smoke, the feeling of the heat, like all those things, taking those into account as well when you're lighting them, or even just the crystals, right? Taking a couple minutes, feeling how they've warmed up because they're against your body, how they all have like different, jagged pieces, and how it actually feels to you. So yeah, I find that they keep me more grounded than anything.
Do you have a favorite crystal that you like to use?
My favorite crystal is celestite. Celestite. Celestite.
Yeah.
Celestite. I don't know. I'm gonna get it. Hold on. They're right here. They're always here. So it depends though, because sometimes I have a favorite crystal for, like I have a favorite crystal for when I travel in the car. I have a favorite crystal, which is a smoky citrine that's in my purse all the time. And then underneath my bed, I have a selenite lamp that burns all night, and a moonstone. So, it just depends. I couldn't say I have one specific favorite. If I were to say, it would be this one. So the celestite is a bit of a bluey gray kind of, this is polished and that's raw.
Yeah.
But it attracts those. And like I have one of these in my purse as well. and one in my bedroom, and 3 in my office. Because I just I love the connection that I have with the angels, and I know that they're here when I have this with me. And it's so important to have them in my therapy space, in my car, with me wherever I go, and in my bedroom at night, just to make sure that I'm safe.
Mm. What does
So,
what
yeah,
does
this is
the
probably
angelic energy feel like to you when you feel the angelic energy close? What does it feel like when you know that they're around?
um it's almost like it's just comfort and peace, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
Mm.
It's not, their energy isn't like an overwhelming, like it can be overwhelming and powerful depending on the situation,
Mm.
but just in a regular meditation where I call on my angels to be with me, it's more of a comfort
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
I don't find them super intense. If you're like, archangels are, so I don't typically call on them to help me when I'm just doing something for myself. I kind of save them for when I'm helping other people.
Yeah. My next question I got down is something that we've both experienced, and I think we've both found it quite powerful. But emotional code therapy.
Oh,
You want
yes.
to tell us a little bit about your emotional code experience and what you went through, and I suppose what the advantages are of an emotional code therapy experience?
So I heard of emotion code quite a while ago, actually, before I even started doing Reiki. One of my friends had experienced it and had gone for a session, told me a little bit about it, and I was kind of like skeptical, like, oh, I don't know about that. Um, Fast forward 5 more years, right? And I was working. One of my, I guess, like coworkers. We're independent contractors, but she was in there as well. Her name's Katrina. She was absolutely lovely, and she came around and she was telling me a little bit about what she does. And I was kind of chit chatting, and she's one of those people that I just kind of like you, just kind of like, oh, okay, we're meant to meet each other. Like there was no awkward weirdness. It was just like, no, I've known you for like the past 30 years, right? Like you don't even hesitate to say a word or explain an experience or feel awkward at any time. So we really kind of bonded. And she has said that she was going through training for emotion code and she needed guinea pigs. And I kind of heard about it. So I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. So I started going to see her, and we were doing the sessions probably every 3 or 4 days, quite intensely. And at the beginning, it was different. I didn't really feel too much. When I have a really bad hearing impairment, so she would be asking the questions, and then because we're in person, and she would do the muscle testing, I wouldn't be able to hear her. So I said to her, "You don't have to talk. You just ask the question and do the muscle testing. Like my higher self and my subconscious will know what you're asking, and we'll go through this." So we tried it that way, and we had really great results. We healed a lot of mine was a lot of hereditary wounds, and then we were moved forward when she learned a different area, and we were working through heart walls. When she removed one of my heart walls, it was quite an experience. Almost instantly, I was really dizzy. And I tried to walk back to my office from her office, and I hit the wall a couple times because I was like really out of sorts. And like, it was obviously something, an emotion that I'd been holding on to for so long, and was just completely, it was a heart wall. So it was blocking my heart from experiencing other things because of the emotion that was trapped. I was really sick for about 2 or 3 days. I think it was 2 days. And when she does the session at the end, she tells you how long it's going to take for these emotions to clear. So on the second day, I think it was maybe like a few hours before our session had been. So, till the 2 days is up, I sent her a message, and I'm like, I have to call and tell you this because this is what I'm experiencing. I have headaches. I'm sick to my stomach. I don't know why this is happening. Like, I was literally a complete mess because my body was, and I like to refer it to as like defragmenting. Have you ever defragmented your computer and you watch all the little boxes like reset back up and go into line? That's kind of how I felt. And it was literally to the minute that we had that session that it was gone. It literally, like, I was laying on the couch. I thought I was dying because I was in so much pain and just going through all these emotions, and then it was gone. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, and then I super cleaned my house for like 3 days straight. So, I don't know, benefits of emotion code. But I think I saw her one more time after that, a few days out. Actually, I saw her a couple more times. And the same thing kept happening because it was almost like we had hit a breakthrough. Like, this has been released, so now all these other things are ready to go. And we've released like generational trapped emotions back 10 years. Like, that's incredible to go back that far and remove this from your ancestral line. Like, it's just amazing. The whole process is amazing. It seems kind of weird, but same with all of these holistic treatments that we go through, right? If you believe in it and you believe it's going to work for you, then it will.
Yeah.
If you believe it's not going to work for you, then it's not, because you're putting up your own blocks,
your own
right?
barrier up, haven't you? Yeah. Totally agree. I mean, I found it really fascinating, just the whole concept. I mean, even after the first session, and it was the same lady that did mine, because she needed distant guinea pigs to do it on. So obviously then you got in touch with me and said, oh, do you fancy trying it? And I'd heard about your 3 days sort of like just being totally wiped out, and I was just like, not sure if I want to do it. So go on then.
Sounds like a fun time.
Happy ascension. So I went through it as well, and but I never experienced anything to the extreme that you did. Mine was very, very, very calm, very subtle. We worked on hereditary stuff that came up from like 15-20 years ago, 20 generations ago. So we're going back a long time. And obviously, when you think of that time, you're working in the element of fear and horror and all that sort of stuff. So there's loads of stuff that came up and got released. And sometimes your subconscious needs to have some sort of recollection of what it could be. And one of the instances is when I was like 2-year-old, and I was like, well, I don't know, like 2-year-old. I'm like, really no idea. And anyway, eventually it just got released, and it got to the point where we totally cleared the heart wall, totally cleared anything else. And I think that was about maybe 4 or 5 sessions. And there's just been like little tweaks within myself that I've noticed are different, and I felt a lot more relaxed, a lot more subdued, a lot more blasé about things that might not go the way I planned. And I mean, I even had that when I'd been attuned to Reiki, but it seemed to like be the next sort of step. And yeah, it was really good, and it was really fascinating and interesting. And I've even looked into trying to do it myself, because I've heard one of my friends that lives nearby, she also does various holistic therapies, but one of them is the emotional code. And she said herself, she said, if you can ever get to do the course, it's probably one of the best courses you will ever do, because the amount of things that you can release that you have no idea that you are physically hanging on to from hereditary traumas and past lives and things like that. It's just absolutely fascinating. It is mind-blowing as well, but there's a lot more to this world than just this flesh and blood, this meat suit and the here and now. There's so much more to it. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in, because obviously it's something that we've both experienced, and we've both had quite different reactions from it. But yeah, I mean, I know I'd messaged you one day, and then I never heard anything for about 5 days, and I thought, well, I hope she's all right. And then eventually I got the message back from you saying, sorry, I've just been a bit wiped out for the last 3 days, and I'm just cleaning the house. So I was like, all right, okay. And then you'd mentioned about the emotional code therapy. I was like, right, okay, fair enough. Yeah. It's something that we just talk about. But yeah, it's really good that we kind of like, just like you say, we just message each other whenever we need to, and just check in and see how things are. And we've got a really good sort of working relationship, really, as far away as we are from each other. It's like we've known each other for lifetimes, I suppose, really. Yeah, it's really fascinating how that kind of like just works as well. It's unusual.
Oh yeah, we were definitely friends a long time ago.
Yeah.
Or brother and sister or something.
I think there's definitely like a Native American link there, or there's something going on there, which is something that came up today in my Akashic reading. Another thing about Native Americans. So yeah, that was really really interesting as well. My next question I got down for you is, I obviously know you, and I know that you're like an advocate for self-care and looking after yourself and your own space. What's your favorite ways to recharge from working in obviously higher dimensional energy? I mean, I know we've touched on it a little bit, but there's probably more things that you try to do to just sort of get away from that and just come back to reground yourself and get into the here and now.
Well, it's kind of, if anybody follows my Instagram, then they know that it has to do with having my toes in things. So a lot of it is, I'm very drawn. Yeah, right. I love water. I love having my feet in water. Even now, I'll stick my feet in, like in the snow outside. That will bring you down to earth real fast.
Oh yeah.
But other things that we're kind of dabbling in right now is like cold therapies. I find one way when I'm really emotional or having a hard time saying, it's hard because being emotional, it is definitely like something that is grounding, but I don't know, to get rid of it anyways. Cold showers usually starts warm and is kind of soothing and comforting, and then it's like a blast of cold. It'll bring you down real fast. But for self-care for me, it's always water, baths, showers, feet in water, feet in the snow, feet on the earth. And then and then meditation as well. That'll bring me down as well. As long as I remember to do it. That's my hard part, is knowing that I have that tool that I can use and using it.
I think sometimes we're really like this is something else that came up in the last video as well. It was about the use of technology and how we're always like saying to people to step away from technology. But when your business is predominantly online or on social media or on websites, and you're constantly working with tech and being in the technological world, even though you're of a higher vibration, and it can affect that balance. We're always telling people to like kind of step away from that and just have a breakaway. But I do feel that just trying to separate yourself slightly, even if it's just for a day, and just to have like a day for yourself, and then then you can go back into it. Some people may need to have longer. They may need, I mean, do you have to space sessions out, through your week? How do you balance your week out with clients, with healing work, with all this sort of stuff that you deal with in your practice?
It's I do have it set on my website that people have to book at least a couple of days in advance. So unless they've reached out to me via Instagram or text or email or whatnot, technology, then I will typically I block out certain days, usually Thursday and Friday, and those are just my days. So on those days, my children are at school, my husband's at work, and I have the house most of the time to myself completely. That's very important to me.
Yeah.
I make sure that I have time for my clients. I can be very accommodating. But I've learned the hard way many, many times that I will burn out really fast, and it's not cool.
Yeah.
When I first started with my space, about a year, it's been about a year and a half since I've been on my, I quit my job and out on just doing holistic therapies. I would book my clients 10, 12, 2, 4, like every 2 hours I would have a client. I wouldn't have time to eat. I wouldn't have time to pee. I wouldn't have time to do the worldly things that you need to do, because I was constantly, you know, up and healing, depending on what it was, right? But it was not working for me. I would do that and I would be out with a migraine for like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So I've learned that right now I'm only offering evening sessions because with the weather and COVID and everything, our kids are like, it's basically the next day you find out if they're going to school or not. Like you're constantly checking to see if they're going to school the next day.
That because of the weather being so, because I know you've got a lot of snow there, haven't you, right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we got more snow last night too. But they went to school today. So last week was kind of tricky. We had a snowstorm Mondays. They were out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They went to school on Thursday, and Friday was a PA day. So so even though I wanted to switch back to mornings, it won't happen until the spring. I'll go back to doing to morning sessions during the weeks. So right now it's just evenings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, I'm completely off. And then it's all day Saturday and all day Sunday, except clients. But yeah, just making sure that I have the time in between. And at times you have to not sacrifice your well-being, but push it a little bit, because you know that that person needs you more, and you'll find the time to rest. Right.
Yeah, it's the balancing game, and I do feel with everything in life, you know, we have this, I suppose, yin yang concept, and the more time you give out and the more time you give to people to help, you will receive that for yourself back when you need to. But sometimes they might just need that little bit of help more than you do right at that time. But yeah, it is interesting how life kind of like plays out, and as we go along, and we start to, that's kind of like why I did this latest piece of artwork, is I've called it Mirror, and it's basically about like how you can create your own, you know, your mind and your thoughts create your world. So however you perceive the world to be, you know, that is what you will attract and that is what you will get. And so that's why I've kind of called it a mirror, but obviously incorporated a lot of the chakra colors and things like that into it as well. I mean, that ties up with a little bit of the last question, because I didn't realize you'd quit your day-to-day job that you did before, because you used to work in was it a hospital, or did you used to work
so when COVID hit Canada, I was working, I ended up going into a retirement home, and I worked there because they had an outbreak. So I put service in there. Prior to that, I was an assistant to the director at a PSW company. And then I also took clients through that company as well. So home care.
Right.
Mostly.
Yeah.
But when, like I said, when COVID hit and our world basically shut down in 2020, the company wouldn't give me a computer in order to do my job. So I kind of lost my job.
Right.
And with all the sensitive files and stuff that are on it, like I totally understand, but that was kind of gone. And I went in to be of service, but once their outbreak was gone, and at that point anyways, so it would have been like July, I left and I'm back to offering services again. Yeah. And actually found an amazing space and worked out of there for almost a year until I moved on.
And I mean, there again, you know, how the universe has played out and played its part for you to bring you back into that work, and it's providing the clients for you, it's providing the people, and you know, you've created that reality for yourself, and it's been doable and it's been possible. So it's amazing how that's worked out really well for you. So
you build it, they will come.
Yeah, exactly. You build it and they will come.
And you have the faith of it, and they will come. And I've never, like, I don't make millions and millions of dollars or any of that, but I don't need it. But I get by, you know, my rent gets paid. Yeah, exactly. I get to stay another month, you know, and it's astounding how things they just come up, right? It's like, oh, my appointments might be a little low this week, but then all of a sudden somebody starts booking classes, and like it balances itself out. And the fact that I offer so many different things, really, like, there's such a variety to choose from, right? Just like the classes or the services or workshops or the crystals or the jewelry, like they got something for everybody.
Yeah, because obviously you teach Reiki as well.
Yes, I teach all three. I consider them 4 levels, but 3.5 levels. I said I teach them all. And then I also offer a crystal grid workshop.
Yeah,
learn how to work the crystal grids.
you also got something called was it the Violet Flame?
Yes.
You got a
So
flame. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. I don't do a lot with the Violet Flame. It's more of a personal journey. It's something you can be attuned to. Pardon me, the tea is coming back at me. So it's something that you are attuned to, similar to Reiki. You do need to be attuned to the 3rd level of Reiki, or have the Reiki Master title, whichever comes first. Really, like Reiki 3, you're open to 100%. So I would offer it to your Reiki 3%. Anyway, so Violet Flame is basically a way of harnessing your own energy to manifest things in your life. So it works on the concept of like a sexual energy. So it's something that's produced in your body, right? And it's something that's relatable. So you take that energy and you're able to harness it and use it for manifesting. It can be manifesting something out of your life, manifesting something into your life, or changing parts of your life. It has a lot to do with meditations. There's a mantra that you say and you put things into this Violet Flame. So it's not Reiki. It's more along the meditation, manifesting, and focus areas. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a mantra. So if you're having an issue with somebody in your work, you would put yourself, the issue, and this person into the Violet Flame. You would say your mantra of what it is that you want to come out of this situation, and then you repeat it every single day. And eventually what happens is, as long as your heart is pure, and you're not looking for malicious reasons, it will change for whatever it is you're manifesting. So if it's, the communication between you guys isn't good, then either the communication will change, or the person will be removed from the situation, or you'll be removed from the situation. But something will happen because the focus is being put on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit like, well, it's like any form of manifestation or law of attraction or anything like that. If you put enough focus, intention, and thought into what you want to introduce or what you want to leave from your life, then that the universe has to realign to make that to happen. So I mean, if you keep using an I am affirmation and just keep repeating I am such and such, I am worthy, I am grateful, I am whatever, then eventually in time things will align and it will become so. But yeah, it's really interesting to learn about that, because when I'd heard that you'd gone through the process, I thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting, and how it's been obviously brought into you. But you can use it in healing in Reiki as well, can't you? You can sort of use it alongside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. There's a lot of different ways to use the Violet Flame. You can use it to dissolve things. So if you have a client who, I don't want to say grief's a hard one to work with, but if they are suffering from grief, you can kind of put them in the Violet Flame themselves and have it dissolve that grief for them. But grief is one of those things you can't really take away from someone. They have to kind of work through it themselves, but it will help them to push them forward, to move forward. You can use it to enhance certain things, especially if they have like a physical ailment that they're dealing with. You can use the Violet Flame in that area for the healing properties of it. It's really versatile, which is really neat. But yeah, you can. It's kind of like Reiki. It's good for mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Really, anything that is pure of heart can be used in Reiki or Violet Flame, as long as it's pure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about it really. Have you got any questions for me for today?
Yeah. What
Oh,
made you think of doing these coffee chats?
well, it just seems to be all one-sided. So I thought, well, you'll have to ask me something as well.
Did you have a dream of it, or was it just something? Did spirit come and say like, "Hey, start talking to people," or like what happened?
It was just something that just kind of like popped in. I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Like,
Mhm.
give that a go. See if there's some interest. And obviously,
Yeah.
there's yourself. There was Claire. I've got another one on Friday, which is with Anna Marie. She's from the UK. She's a Reiki master and holistic healer of various forms as well. So looking forward to speaking to her. But yeah, it was just something that just I thought that might be a really good idea. I'm my philosophy is to try and bridge connections between a lot of these people around the world that are out there that they're either healers
You
or
froze a
they're
little
in
bit.
some sort of spiritual work or whatever, and they're just to bring this community together a little bit more. And then we've got
You're
more.
frozen.
I've frozen. So have
Oh
you.
no.
Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? No, I think we've gone. So we'll have to stop recording there, I think. But I would just like to say a huge thank you to Genevieve for taking part today, and hopefully we may reconvene this chat in the near future, and we'll get together again soon to discuss lots of other things. Yeah, she's had to go, unfortunately. She must have lost the signal. But yeah, until the next time, until the next coffee chat, which hopefully will be Friday, I will upload this video soon, and I will be back on before long, before you know it, and there'll be another coffee chat. So bye for now. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Do comment below and let us know what you think. Until the next time, much love. Namaste and take care of yourselves. Bye for now.